Lawmaker is proposing a new constitutional amendment that would permanently prohibit carbon taxes in Texas. Carbon taxes are based on the amount of greenhouse gas emissions produced. And as KLTV7's Michael Richardson reports, State Rep Daniel Alders of Tyler says the bill will help Texas, but it's facing some pushback.
Texas leads the nation in energy production. To stay that way, Republican State Representative Daniel Alders of Tyler says a carbon tax should never be implemented. He's put forward a joint resolution that would do just that, with approval from lawmakers and voters.
What we shouldn't be doing is incentivizing with tax subsidies the green energy options that are available to us today.
Alders believes consumers should decide where to take the energy industry. He says carbon taxes in Europe and cap and trade policies in California have had a negative impact.
We have so many resources available to us here in the state of Texas, and we want to ensure that we're not handicapping our ability to pursue economic prosperity, pursue liberty.
The joint resolution comes after oil production reached record high levels under the Biden administration. Citizens Climate Lobby opposes the law, issuing a statement reading in part, prohibiting a carbon tax would take an incredibly effective policy tool out of Texas lawmakers' toolbox, adding that taking this policy off the table only limits America's ability to keep our industries and our economy competitive on the world stage. The resolution would need 2/3 of the vote of both chambers. It would then come before voters in November, where a majority is required to become law. Michael Richardson, KLTV7 News.
And the U.S. Energy Information Administration estimates carbon dioxide emissions in America will go up by 1% this year.